In this video, I'll be showing you two different ways that you can create a twist. This was the first option. And in the second option, I show you one that has a little bit more control. So as you can see, we can change the twist amount using the angle here. We can change the location of where that is. We can also change the extent to where that happens. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about parametric design, I'll be going over all of the steps here in detail. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll have this available. But with that being said, thank you very much for coming by, and let's jump right into it. All right, so to start, the first thing we're going to do is bring in a circle. Now I'll go here to a circle component, and we'll use the circle that's defined by a plane and a radius. Now we can create a radius here. So depending on what you're trying to create and what size, then you would use a specific slider with a different number. And also, if you're seeing things a bit different, it's because when you look at display, I have draw icons, draw fancy wires, and draw full names. This way you can see all the inputs and outputs. Okay, so now that we have the slider, we can also bring in the plane input. By default, it's going to put it here at the origin, but we can change that location later if we want to. So now that we have the circle, now let's take that and divide it, but instead of subdividing it using points, we're going to bring in the endpoints, and then we're going to be arraying it around. What's interesting about a circle is the start and end point are both the same because it starts here and it ends here. So we're going to have 2 points here. So we'll only use one of them. So the start, we'll use a polygon. And now we can create this polygon here and change the radius. So let's go here to 15.00, and that will give us a slider with 2 decimal points, so we can be a little bit more precise. So let's put the radius here. Now for the segments, we're going to be creating a slider that starts at 3. So we'll do 3 less than. Then this is going to be where it's set at. So we'll go to 6 and then less than 20. So it creates a slider that's custom starting at 3, set at 6, and then with the limit of 20. So you can see the polygon changes as long as we change the number of sides. We'll keep it here with a hexagon. And now what we'll do is array it around the circle. So we'll go here to array, curve array. The curve input is going to be the circle. So that's going to be the curve. The geometry is going to be the polygon. So it arrays it around. And now we can change how many of them. So instead of subdividing the circle with points, we're getting the start point, putting the polygon there, and then arraying it around. This way it maintains that orientation all the way around. So now with this, what we'll do is bring in a slider for the count. So let's go here to 3, or so 3 less than 10 less than 50. And the reason why we're doing this is because this will let us see all of the changes, and when we add more, it'll actually change the geometry, as you can see here. But now what we'll do is we actually need to take this and put them all together using region union. Now this is just one technique. From what you see here, we can take many different steps afterwards, but I just want to show you here that when we use the region union, we're actually merging all of those together. So we can now take this and see what happens when we bring them all together like this. And when they're too far apart, they actually won't join. So let's take this result and go to a fillet, which means we're going to be rounding off the edges and using a radius here. So we'll go to 2.5. And we'll actually hide this one because, as you can see, we have some old information here and we want to be able to see the changes here. So let's increase this and let's look at what it looks like with a softer edge. Now, what's cool is we can also change the polygon, and this will also alter the geometry. So that's kind of the power of using Grasshopper, is being able to see all the changes. And as we go back, all of these can be updated. Let's keep it like this for now. Let's hide the original one. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to be deselecting or just selecting one of these. So deselecting the inside one and keeping just the outside form. So for that, we'll go here to list item. And when we use list item, we are going to have only two curves and it will select one of them. Index of 0 is going to be the outside one. Now we can hide this one. So here we'll create a slider between 0 and 1. This way we can change between the inside or the outside and the inside one. Now we're going to take this and array it vertically. So to do this, we're going to go to move. In the Z direction. I'll use a slider here of 15. And as you can see, we only copy once. So the trick that I like to use for creating more than one copy is to actually create a component here, bring in a component called series. And this component lets you create more than one number, because the reason why it only creates one is because it's only using one number as the input. But if we actually use 15, then 30, then 45, then we can start creating more than one number, and that's what series is for. It's going to ask you, where is it going to start? So starting at 0, stepping by 15, and then count is how many. So we want to create 15 copies. So now we have here as the output, we have 15 numbers starting at 0 and ending at 210, and it steps by 15. So now we'll change this to the factor input for the Z. And notice that now it creates all of those, and we can change the spacing. We can change the count, so how many we have. And we'll keep it here, let's say at 20. We'll change the spacing to be like this. And so I'm going to show you two different ways of rotating this and twisting it. This is going to be the first way, which is using a step rotation. So if we take this output with all of these copies and we loft it together, it creates an extrusion. Why? Because it's just taking those and interpolating a surface in between all of those. Now what we can do is take all of these and rotate them relative to their center point. So we'll go here to an area component, which will create. So before we do this, so I'm going to unplug it using Control. So now what we need to do is get the center point of each of those curves, use that point to rotate them. So we'll go here to rotate. We'll rotate all of those. Use the centroid as the plane, and the angle is going to be, each one needs to rotate by an additional number. So that's why we'll use the series component again, and we'll bring this, scoot this over here. We'll bring in a series. And so now we're going to rotate it by the same number, because we need to have the same number of count for the array and for the twist. So we're going to do this 20 times, one for each, stepping by 5. So it's going to be 5 degrees, 10, 15, 20, and so forth. Then we'll take here the series component, plug that into the angle. But what we need to do is make sure that the angle goes to degrees. As you can see, we now have the geometry overlapping. So this is the old step. And now we can use this as the curve input. And notice that it has twisted it by 5 degrees every step. And we can now increase that if we want to twist it further. So this creates an even twist all the way around. Sometimes when we have it displayed as the default here in red, it's a little bit difficult to see. So I do like to preview it or see it using custom preview. We'll use this surface as the input, and I'll hide here the wire display so it's a little bit cleaner here. And then I'll go here to a color swatch. Change this to an orange color. Now we're able to see it a little bit better. So as you can see, the step is going to be the rotation. So I'll actually increase this to a larger number. And notice that now we're able to twist it in a regular form all the way up, and we can still change all of the inputs here. So if we have, so notice that sometimes it will change the, well, when they don't intersect, we know that it kind of has some issues. And then here we can increase the radius and lower the number of arrays. You can also increase or decrease the twist amount or the fillet. So let's change this back to something like 50. And so this is the way that you can create, like I said, a twist that has regular turns. Now on this next step, I'm going to show you how to take this form, but have a different twist that has a little bit more control and it's not so symmetrical. So this is great if you're trying to create like a cap that twists open and close. The reason why is because it's a regular form and it's symmetrical, so you won't have any issues. But this next one that I'm going to show you, like I said, has more control, but you'll lose some capabilities in terms of using this as a symmetrical geometry. So now let me show you the next step. All right, so for the next one, what I'll do is I'll take this and move it down. And we'll be using all of the steps before the twist. And I'll take these and move them up or copy them up. And then I'll go here and middle click and go to disable. This way we can just look at this. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take this and extrude it. So here we'll bring in an extrude component, extrude this up in the Z direction. and use a slider. So let's go here to create the extrusion. So now that we have the extrusion, we know the height. So the height, let's say, is going to be 600. And we have the center of this. So the circle is going to have a center point, and for that we can bring in the area component to get the center. I'll bring this over here. And we'll take the center point and move it. So using the move component, I'll place the centroid into the geometry, and then the motion is going to be the vector. And it's going to be the same vector as the height. This way, when we change the height, that point moves. And now we can create a line segment. So line segment between the start and the end point. And now that we have this, we can bring in the twist component. Now for the twist component, we need a few inputs. First, the geometry, which is going to be this extrusion. Then we'll use the line segment as the axis. And the angle, we need to make sure that it's in degrees. And then we'll go here to 0 less than 45 less than 90 or 180. Notice that we have now two overlaps. This is going to be the old one, and this is going to be now the new twisted form. And in the same way that last time it was a little bit tricky to see, we'll bring this one, copy it up, enable it, and use the output from the twist into the input. So what's different about this one is that it will twist in a different way than the other one. Notice that here it's a little bit more subtle, and then in the middle, it twists a lot more. This is determined by that line segment. So if the twist is determined by this, we can now here edit this line segment and then see how that affects the form. So here we'll go to an extend curve. We'll use that line segment as the input, and then here the start and end are going to be a specific slider. So we'll go here to, let's just say, yeah, 120. Maybe that's too large. So we'll do 0 less than 120 less than 200. And maybe we'll do minus 200 as the minimum. You can do this with the same slider if we want to. So let's plug both of them into one and use this as the input. And notice that now that the line segment is extended, it kind of extends the twist, but if we shrink it, it also shrinks the twist. If we want, we can also have a separate top twist, an extension, and this is going to give us a little bit more control as to where it happens. So it can go straight this way and then at the top twist, or the opposite. So what's different about this approach is that you have more control. You basically, by updating the axis curve, you can change where this happens. And I feel like this is a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So it looks a little bit better. Why? Because you don't have the perfect symmetry and you have a little bit more control as to how to change this. We can also move. So I'll bring in a move component. use this line segment as the input, and then have a move component here. So we'll go here in the Z direction. I was going to copy this one, but I'm going to just create a new one and then use this slider. So notice that now we're moving this up and down. I'm going to hide this one and then use this one as the input. So notice that as I move it up and down, it will also change. And we can shrink this in this one. And just use this one to control where that is located. So that's what I wanted to show you guys in this video. There are definitely more modifications that we can create to change this form, like changing the scale of the array vertically. But the use or the idea for this was just to show you the two different ways that you can create a twist. One that is more symmetrical, and this one that has a little bit more control. And so hopefully you learned a few more tips and tricks in these videos. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll have this available on my website if you're interested. And thank you very much for coming by. I appreciate you guys supporting me, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.